I am Soana Benjamin with tonight's edition of Emo Nightly News for May 28th, 2026. The Grade 6 National Assessment began today and will continue tomorrow. We will be sure to bring you some reaction from our nation's youth in tomorrow's broadcast. Now on to tonight's top stories. Locally, the Ministry of Health receives computers and tablets from the UN World Food Programme. The Cultural Division continues investment in the teaching of visual and performing arts. Dominica Bar Association continues education and thought-provoking drive in Law Week activities. While regionally, Grenada advances public sector pension reform. St. Lucia continues crime prevention and justice reform efforts. Cricket West Indies launches We Outside campaign and 2026 home series schedule, while internationally, 16 students dead, 79 injured after Kenyan school fire, and global oil prices surge following fresh US attacks on Iran. Stay tuned for the details of these stories and more.
Tico, that's $800. Cash or card?
When cash is low, Tico is still ready.
Always card, Chalo. Would you like a copy of the receipt?
No, Chalo. NBD already sent me the alert and I'll see it on Mo Banking later. That is it. From card to farm. Power your business with the NBD Small Business Credit Card. Your partner, your bank.
In local news, the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Social Services has received a donation of 12 desktop computers, 3 tablets, and 1 laptop from the United Nations World Food Programme, aimed at strengthening the social welfare information management system and enhancing service delivery across Dominica. An additional 22 tablets and 2 desktop computers were also presented to village councils through the Information System Support Unit and the Office of Disaster Management. Officials say the equipment will support improved reporting, accountability, and digital operations at the community level, while helping to modernize social welfare and disaster management services across the island. Several organizations in Dominica recently participated in the Why Are We Like That? TetraMap training session held on May 14, 2026. Participating organizations include the Ministry of Environment, Cash and Carry, the National Development Foundation of Dominica Limited, the Insurance Company of the West Indies, ICWI, and the Dominica Association of Persons with Disabilities. During the session, participants explored the TetraMap 4-element framework aimed at deepening understanding of human behavior, communication styles, and team dynamics, with the shared goal of becoming peace ambassadors. The training is described as being engaging, inclusive, and dynamic, an experience that encouraged participants to step outside their comfort zones through meaningful dialogue and collaborative activities. The Cultural Division, in collaboration with the Ministry of Education and the OECS Pearl Dominica, continues its commitment to arts education and cultural development through its ongoing visual and performing arts workshop for teachers. The first session, held last Friday, introduced teachers to both creative and traditional dance techniques, providing participants with practical skills and approaches for integrating movement and cultural expression into the classroom environment. Workshop sessions continue with a focus on visual arts and craft, where teachers are engaged in creative exploration, artistic techniques, and hands-on activities designed to strengthen arts instruction within schools. The initiative forms part of the Cultural Division's ongoing efforts to strengthen arts education, preserve cultural traditions, and equip educators with creative tools to inspire the nation's youth. The National Youth Council of Dominica, NYCD, has condemned a break-in and robbery at its secretariat over the recent holiday weekend. Outgoing President Firelander said staff arrived at the office on Tuesday, May 26, to find the space extensively ransacked. The matter has since been reported to the police, and investigations are ongoing. Preliminary reports suggest the incident may have been linked to vulnerabilities caused by damage sustained during the May 6 fire, which affected the building's security. Assessments are currently underway to determine the extent of the damage and losses incurred. Lander also noted that this is not the first unlawful entry into the building and revealed that the upstairs tenant, the Dominica Youth Business Trust, reportedly experienced a similar break-in last week. The NYCD says preparations for its annual General Assembly on Saturday, May 30th, at the Dominica Hospitals Authority Amphitheatre will continue as planned. The Council is encouraging anyone with information related to the incident to contact the relevant authorities. More than $500,000 spent in revolutionizing the fishing industry in Layu. This is according to the Minister of State with responsibility for fisheries in the Ministry of Agriculture, Honorable Julian Defoe. Honorable Defoe made these comments at the official handing over of 10 climate-resilient fishing vessels to fisherfolk as part of a component of the DEAL CRP, Dominica Emergency Agriculture, Livelihoods and Climate Resilience Project, started some years ago with funds from the World Bank. The minister says the contribution of this project to the restoration of the fisheries sector is invaluable.
We contracted the first loan of approximately $66 million from the World Bank, of which $5.4 million went directly into the fisheries sector, where we had the restoration of livelihoods, which took into consideration two main components, boats and engines. Very early on, we distributed about $1.8 million worth of engines, outboard engines, about 108 to be exact, and the second component of that was the construction of fishing boats. So there were 54 fishing boats approved under this program. And all boats may have the same length, but they may contain different features, and therefore they may vary in price. But overall, these 10 boats today on this site constitutes more than $500,000. So this is very significant, because fishing, as most people would not know, is not a cheap industry.
The minister gave a few specifics about the vessels.
Each of these boats have special features, such as air pockets. So if they were to sink, unfortunately, that they would still be afloat and the fishers would have, an opportunity to stay alive. So there are many new techniques that were built into these boats, while we retain a lot of the craftsmanship and the skills of the local boat builder. So now some of these boats are well designed to go out into the open seas. And you can see the large ice box so that they can, maximize their catch and earn a very good living for themselves and their family. Thank you very much.
Meanwhile, fisherman Eddie Uzeb gave thanks on behalf of all fisherfolk receiving vessels.
I am especially grateful to the government of Dominica for its important investment in the fisheries sector. Handover of those vessels not only support our livelihood, but also contribute to this future growth and development of fisheries in Dominica. Special thanks to the boat builders. I don't know where they're. Special thanks to all the rest. Thank you all.
More boats will be handed over on Friday. Finally, in local news this evening, The intellectual property rights of artists took center stage last night at a panel discussion organized as part of activities for Law Week by the Dominica Bar Association. The panel discussion, which was aptly moderated by attorney Calita Benjamin, focused on the topic Protecting Your Sound, the legacy of bouillon and other musical art forms through the protection of artists' intellectual property rights. The discussion was well received with persons wanting more time for discussion. International musicians Michael Henderson, Sheldon Shelley Alfred of Signal Band, and Gael Trilogy John Baptist were panelists who shared their knowledge and experiences during the discussion. Registrar of Companies and Intellectual Properties Attorney at Law Athley Nesty was also a panelist. Nesty stressed that copyright registration is not done in Dominica. Attending the event were seasoned as well as budding lawyers, artists, and copyright champion MacArthur Marie, who shared his thoughts with EmoNews.
A very good session by the Law Association, the Bar Association rather, to put information and knowledge about intellectual property, particularly copyright, as it applies to music in Dominica. We happen to have a very good copyright law, although it needs amendment like everything else, got to keep up with the times, but it was a very good session we had this evening.
Marie also added some insight as it relates to copyright in Dominica.
Okay, there are two important considerations in the law of Dominica here. One is that you don't have to have fixation for your copyright to exist. For example, if I start singing a song right now, copyright would exist in it immediately, although you're actually recording it, so it is being fixed. But even if you do not fix and I was singing it at a concert and that's the first time it was being sung, copyright would exist in it immediately. So that's one of the things that we are good at, our law is good at. And secondly is the way our law protects moral rights. It's very strict and what you can call strong, unlike the UK copyright moral rights legislation, for example, is pretty weak.
Now let's hear from President of the Dominica Bar Association, Attorney at Law Nuelis Knight Didier.
I must say our panelists really brought some good information to light this evening. They explained the basics of copyright in music. They explained how it can be protected. They explained what artists need to do in order to protect their copyright. It was all broken down very well in very simple terms, in layman's terms, not using too much technical legal jargon per se. And even where they brought out the legal jargon, they were able to explain it to us. And the musicians brought out their musical terms, which some of us don't understand, and they were able to explain those to us. So it was really, really a good, informative evening where we all learned a lot. Lawyers, laypersons, musicians, creators, we learned a lot. Topical issue that arose was the issue of AI. I mean, AI creates music, what happens there? And we learned that it is a developing area, and we will see in the future how that turns out. So I'm really happy with the evening. I think the public was happy. The discussion was very good, and we are very thankful for all who turned out and supported the event. We're thankful particularly to our panelists.
And that's it for local news this evening. We'll be right back with regional news. The government of Grenada has marked another major milestone in the implementation of its public sector employees' defined contribution pension plan, with the official signing of administration and investment management agreements during a ceremony held on May 20th under the theme Securing Tomorrow Today. The signing ceremony signaled the advancement of the pension reform initiative from legislative establishment into a stronger phase of operational execution and institutional governance. The reform forms part of Grenada's broader public sector modernization agenda aimed at strengthening governance, ensuring long-term fiscal sustainability, and protecting the retirement security of public officers and public sector workers. The public sector employees' defined contribution pension plan officially became operational on January 1, 2025, following extensive research, actuarial assessments, technical consultations, and stakeholder engagements. The St. Lucia Tourism Authority, SLTA, is participating in the ongoing Adaptation Investment Pitch and Matchmaking event being held from May 27th to the 28th at the Finance Administrative Center in Point Seraphin, Castries. The regional event brings together development partners, private sector stakeholders, and government agencies to advance financing opportunities for the implementation of St. Lucia's National Adaptation Plan. Officials say the tourism sector, alongside education and infrastructure, has been identified as a key pillar within the National Adaptation Plan process, highlighting its critical role in strengthening climate resilience and supporting sustainable national development. The Honorable John Paul Estefan, Minister in the Ministry of Tourism, was represented at the event, reaffirming the ministry's commitment to advancing climate adaptation efforts within the tourism industry and supporting investment-ready projects designed to safeguard the sector's future. The SLTA says it remains committed to supporting initiatives that position St. Lucia to secure partnerships aimed at driving long-term resilience and sustainable growth for the destination. And more news from St. Lucia. Prime Minister Honorable Philip J. Pierre has reaffirmed his government's commitment to strengthening national security, advancing justice sector reforms, and continuing investments aimed at addressing crime through a balanced and holistic approach. Speaking during the pre-cabinet press briefing on Tuesday, May 26, Prime Minister Pierre acknowledged growing public concern surrounding crime and violence in the country, while urging mature national dialogue and collective action.
I'm very concerned. I continue to be concerned. And I'm sure all politicians, all well-meaning politicians are concerned. And I understand that they're concerned. But it's complex. So let's not believe we can have answers on the talk show. The answers don't just come from, it will not come on any talk show. It won't come on any Facebook page or any Facebook rant. It will come by being mature, sitting down as a country and discussing. And that's what I'm willing to do. But I'm very concerned. I'll continue to be concerned.
The Prime Minister's remarks come as the government continues implementation of several initiatives aimed at improving public safety, strengthening the justice system, and modernizing law enforcement and correctional operations. The government recently announced continued progress under the Swift Justice Project and the Criminal Backlog Reduction Court, which was officially opened on March 19, 2026, to accelerate the handling of older criminal matters before the High Court. Approximately 100 matters were disposed of between February and May 2026 as part of efforts to reduce delays within the criminal justice system. Additional measures include the expansion of virtual court operations at the Bodley Correctional Facility, upgrades to court infrastructure, including the refurbishment of the Soufriere Courthouse, and the ongoing development of St. Lucia's first national crime prevention policy, focused on early intervention, youth engagement, and community-based violence prevention. Prime Minister Pierre also defended the importance of the Health and Security Levy in supporting the country's crime-fighting and public safety efforts.
Every police force needs more resources. But the fact is, we have to be realistic of what we can do and what we cannot do. We have to be realistic about it. St. Lucia has a Health and Security Levy of 2.5%. It raised $40 million last year. $40 million. That's what it was last year. There have been cries. Stop it. Stop the Health and Security Levy. No one has said where we will get the revenue to deal with the issues.
The Prime Minister further outlined the government's continued investment in personnel and institutional support across the security sector.
It's a holistic approach that we take it, and we're going to continue. As to resources, within the government's fiscal ability, we'll continue to give resources. We'll continue. Right now, we're about to recruit 80 new officers. We just recruited some people for the fire service at Bodley. So we're going to continue doing it. But it's challenging. We have realities that no one says how they'll solve them,
The government maintains that crime prevention and public safety require a whole-of-society response that combines effective law enforcement with prevention, rehabilitation, institutional strengthening, and sustained community partnership. Finally, in regional news, Prime Minister of Barbados, Honorable Mia Mottley, says small island developing states must continue pushing for practical global solutions as Barbados hosts the Inter-American Development Bank Sustainability Week 2026 for the first time. The event has brought together investors, development partners, and delegates from around the world to Barbados to discuss sustainability, resilience, and economic development. During a fireside chat with the bank's Invest CEO James Scriven, Prime Minister Mottley addressed several urgent challenges confronting small island states, including rising energy prices, global instability, tensions in the Strait of Hormuz, climate resilience, renewable energy, insurance reform, and the need for a fairer global financial system. Mottley stressed that small island nations cannot continue carrying global burdens with systems that were never designed to support their survival and development. She reaffirmed Barbados' commitment to strengthening partnerships, raising its voice internationally, and advocating for practical solutions that will allow Caribbean people not only to survive current global challenges, but to thrive despite them. And that's all for regional news. We'll be right back with international news. First up in international news, at least 16 students were killed and 79 others injured after a devastating fire swept through a dormitory at the Utimishi Girls Academy Senior School in Kenya's Rift Valley region on Thursday. According to reports, the fire broke out shortly after midnight and burned for more than 2 hours before it was brought under control. Kenya's Education Minister Julius Migos confirmed that 71 of the injured students have since been discharged from the hospital, while investigations continue into the cause of the blaze. Television footage from the scene showed smoke-stained walls, shattered windows, and distraught family members gathered outside the school seeking information about missing loved ones. Authorities say fires remain a major concern in Kenyan schools, with more than 100 school fires recorded in 2024 alone. Researchers have noted that some incidents have been linked to student protests over harsh disciplinary measures and poor living conditions. One parent whose daughter escaped the tragedy told local media that part of the dormitory structure appeared blocked, making it difficult for students to escape as the flames spread rapidly. This latest tragedy comes less than 2 years after another deadly school fire in Nyeri County claimed the lives of 21 students. In one of Kenya's deadliest school fire disasters, 67 boys were killed in 2001 at the Kianguli Secondary School near Nairobi in a fire authorities attributed to arson. And finally, in international news, global oil prices surged on Thursday after the United States launched fresh attacks on Iran, targeting a military site in the strategic port city of Bandar Abbas. According to the United States Central Command, U.S. forces also shot down 4 Iranian drones that were considered a threat near the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most important oil shipping routes. Following the strikes, Brent crude, the international oil benchmark, climbed 3.75% to $97 per barrel, while U.S. crude rose 4% to $92 per barrel. The latest escalation comes despite an ongoing ceasefire and diplomatic talks between the United States and Iran, aimed at ending the 3-month conflict that has severely disrupted shipping through the Strait of Hormuz. Roughly 1/5 of the world's oil and liquefied natural gas supplies normally pass through the narrow waterway, making any disruption a major concern for global energy markets. Oil prices have fluctuated sharply since the conflict began in February, with Brent crude previously surging to nearly $120 a barrel, before easing amid hopes of a diplomatic breakthrough. The U.S. described the recent strikes as acts of self-defense, saying earlier operations targeted Iranian missile sites and boats allegedly attempting to lay mines in the strait. Iran condemned the attacks as a grave violation of the ceasefire and warned that it will not leave any act of hostility unanswered. Meanwhile, Kuwait said its military intercepted what it described as hostile missile and drone threats, though officials provided no further details. And that's all for international news. We'll be right back with sports.
New game in town. Get ready to match 5 and you can win 10K. Let's go. Play with just $2. Match 5 numbers from 1 to 29 to win. Draws every Wednesday and Saturday at 9 p.m. It's easy, fun, and local. Match 5, your local jackpot game. Dominican National Lottery.
In exciting sports news, Cricket West Indies (CWI) has unveiled the schedule for the 2026 Men's International Home Series under its new name, We Outside. The West Indies will host Sri Lanka, New Zealand, and Pakistan across the Caribbean in one-day internationals, T20 internationals, and test matches from June to August. The season begins in Jamaica with white ball matches against Sri Lanka, before moving to Antigua and Barbuda for a 2-match test series. West Indies will then face New Zealand in a 5-match one-day international series in Guyana and Barbados, with Barbados added as a host venue for the final 2 matches. The home season concludes in Trinidad and Tobago with a 2-test series against Pakistan, including the first ever international test match at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy. CWI CEO Chris Daring said, "We Outside campaign celebrates the passion, culture, and energy of West Indies cricket, while encouraging fans across the region to rally behind the Maroon Men this summer." In more exciting news, preparation is continuing for Dominica's participation in the highly anticipated 2026 Windward Islands School Games, scheduled to take place in St. Lucia from July 24th to August 2nd. Student athletes across the island are now intensifying training as they get ready to represent the Nature Isle on the regional stage. This year's delegation will compete in 5 sporting disciplines: athletics, football, volleyball, netball, and basketball, showcasing the talent, determination, and competitive spirit of Dominica's young athletes. The following clips highlight the hard work and preparation currently underway as teams continue to sharpen their skills ahead of this summer's games. And we expect the Dominican delegate to do their best, as we have had #1 positions in quite a few of the disciplines.
We are out here at the inter-school netball training session, where we have Mr. Ray Kazimi leading the girls in some physical exercises there.
football news, the Dominica Football Association, DFA, has announced that the 2026 DFA Division 1 League will officially kick off on Wednesday, June 3rd. This year's competition will feature two tiers, Tier 1 and Tier 2, as part of ongoing efforts to strengthen football development across the island. Several clubs from around Dominica will compete for championship honors and promotion opportunities, including a chance for the Tier 1 champion to advance to the Premier League. The DFA says it is looking forward to an exciting and competitive season and is encouraging clubs, players, and supporters to uphold discipline and professionalism throughout the tournament. And finally, in sports news this evening, the Dominica Athletic Association, Inc. is set to host the highly anticipated 2026 Jumps and Throws Classic this coming Sunday, May 31st. The event gets underway at 9:30 at the Benjamin's Park and promises an exciting showcase of athletic talent from across Dominica. Competition categories will include the Under 13, Under 15, Under 18, Under 20, and Senior divisions, giving athletes of all levels the chance to shine. Track and field fans can look forward to thrilling performances in high jump, long jump, triple jump, shot put, javelin, and discus. Organizers are encouraging all jumpers and throwers to seize the moment and compete at their highest potential in what is expected to be a dynamic and energetic sporting event. And we'll see you on Sunday at the Benjamin's Park. Stay tuned. The weather report coming up next. This has been Emo Nightly News for May 28, 2026. I am your presenter, Soana Benjamin, and I'll be back with you tomorrow to bring you more details of news shaping Dominica, the region, and the world. Do have a lovely evening. Goodbye.